guys, saying hi from a Wednesday morning. I have my morning coffee with me and I am really happy and excited to start this reading vlog because I wanted to start reading my most anticipated new release of the year, which is Page Boy by Elliot Page. Elliot Page is one of my most favorite. I can't even talk right now. My favorite actors of all time, if not the favorite one. He means so much to me. A lot of people know him from the movie Juno, but I actually watched a fantastic movie of his called Hard Candy, and that movie is brutal, as raw, as powerful, but it's also so what's the word? Satisfying to watch. It is a revenge story, if you will, and I loved that movie so much. And I also watched it when I was dreaming to be a punk. I'm like still dreaming to be a punk right now, but I feel like I'm just not, that qualified. It's just my life is so normal and regular. Anyhow, so that movie is the love of my life, and Elliot Page is the most favorite. Again, it's my favorite actor of all time. He's also so brave. Besides being an amazing actor, he's also a powerful activist, speaking out for trans rights, and also doesn't shy away from his own transition. And I just love him so much. Ever since he started to write this book, I've been following up the news, and I'm just so excited. Anyhow, like I said, I didn't say that before actually. Anyhow, I also have some other books that I want to read because I have a feeling that I'll be finishing this up in like a day or two. So these are the other two books that I'm planning to read, work my way through. However, I'm not planning to finish any of them. I only plan to read one chapter from this per day and whatever I can from The Way of Kings. So let's talk about them. This is a book, My Fourth Time We Drowned. It's a journal of a journalist who is reporting on the refugee crisis in Europe, and each chapter is a story that she encountered. She talks about how in a lot of places people are doing things to help themselves, and also how some of the organizations, they're not actually doing a lot. And I have read about a lot of the crisis in some of the countries when I was reading for my Asian reading project. So I am kind of familiar with some of it, but the others not so much. So this is a book that I really, really want to read and study from. I saw this book from Kazan's video. She's reading for the Book to Prize, and it's so dangerous for me to watch her video. Like, I want to read almost half of the books that she reads. The other half are being romance, which I generally don't read that much. So basically, I want to read all the non-romance that she reads. Anyhow, so The Way of Kings, because the other two books that I'm gonna read are all nonfiction, and I am working my way through this gigantic book. I'm at page 245 now, and I am doing a separate vlog for this, but I think I will also talk a little bit about it in this vlog because it's just so good. I also watched so many interviews of Brandon Sanderson, and also he has his YouTube channel, so I've been watching his update about the 5th books in the series, which is kind of a final book in the tightly together series of The Way of Kings. So I've been watching that, and he's great, and this book is great, and I loved it. I just feel like whenever I was reading it, it's like watching a movie. It's so good. So that was my TBR for this week. It's already Wednesday, so I only plan to finish Page Boy in this vlog, and the other two books not so much. And I also forgot to mention that I got the ticket to go see Elliot Page on Saturday when he is touring to San Francisco about his book tour. And to prepare me of reading this book, I actually watched some of his interviews, and in one of the interviews I watched, he mentioned that when he went to an event for Juno, he wants to go with t-shirt and jeans. People kept telling him that he needs to wear dress because it was pre-transition of his, and he was just so uncomfortable in his body, and he's having this panic attack. And I just feel so sad that a actor that I loved so much went through such a suffering in one of his most profound movies. I just feel like it just broke my heart a little bit. And also seeing the comment in that under that interview, it was just bizarre. I was actually talking with a friend earlier today, and we're just talking about how somehow being on BookTube and also having these amazing reading friends just make us feel like sometimes people care. I feel like I'm rambling a lot now. Anyhow, that was my reading plan for this vlog. I hope you are having a wonderful day and happy Wednesday, happy Pride Month. I will see you after I read a little bit of page Y. I don't know where to look at. I think here. Anyhow, so I'm at chapter 4 of the book, but we are heading out for a evening climbing session, and so far the book is really good, and I also just want to show off this hat that I got. Hi friends, it's Thursday morning, and I have some updates for the books that I'm reading. I made progress in both Page Boy and also my 4th time with Zhang. And before that, I kind of want to talk to you guys about something that's in my mind actually. So as you know that the air quality in New York City made the headline these days, and it was so bad, and it was all caused by the wildfire in Canada, and the wind kind of blew all the pollution to New York City, and the quality is not good. The sky was yellow. I also follow a Canadian booktuber, and she said their sky was yellow as well. It's not even the wildfire season yet. And I just can't help but thinking about how the climate is actually drastically changing all the time already. Like last year, I was lucky to visit Morocco, like just to travel there as a tourist. And the locals actually told me that they are suffering from a historical drought for 8 years already, and there's no signs of getting better. And the nomadic families in Sahara Desert, they are not able to migrate over according to the season anymore because there's no better water resources for them and also for their animals. So their animals became really skinny. So basically they cannot survive using their traditional ways anymore. So it was bad, and I just feel like this year, in the beginning of the year, California also has so much rain. It was called atmospheric river. It may sound good because California is constantly suffering from drought, but it's actually might not be a good thing for the summer because all the river has already became the cloud and rain down and things like that. And also my Italy friends told me that last year Italy didn't have much rain, so they actually have to shut down all the public fountains to preserve water resources. All the things together, I just feel like as human beings, we may not have enough time anymore. Like the nature disasters may come faster to us than we expected, and also the technology is not progressing enough. So a lot of times I feel like powerless, and I think maybe some of you guys feel the same way too. But I also remember that when I was really small, there's a big hole in the ozone layer in the North Pole because people were using something in the refrigerator and it was damaging the atmosphere in the South Pole, and it was a major climate crisis. But the good thing about that is over the years people upgrading their technology of their fridge and all the other things, the hole is actually healing of itself. So that is telling us like the nature is not giving up on us, and if we act in the correct way, we still have chance, but the time is running out. And I know this year a lot of climate activists, they made the headline of like destroying artworks in museums. And I think all of that is just because our time is more and more limited right now. So there are things that we can do in our lives. For example, I've upgraded the power in my house to recycled energy, to clean energy, and we can choose more eco-friendly ways when we're doing things in our household. But most importantly, individual is not enough. So we have to let the local legislation know, let the local council know that there are people caring about these things, and we can make some changes policy-wise. Really, if we are just doing that by ourselves, it's never enough. The air pollution in New York City is not a result of the wildfire. It's the result of the years and years of fossil fuels campaign that is happening in North America. It's like all connected. And now I got a little bit carried away here, but I do want to update you guys on the book. So first of all, Page Boy. I'm at a little bit past page 50, and I read it, like I purposely read it slower because I want to treasure the moment that I'm reading this book. And in the past chapter, Elliot Page was talking about his first stalker in his life, and that was bizarre. That was so intense. And it's funny because I talked about the movie called Hard Candy earlier in this vlog, and some of the plot is actually echoing the stalker in his story, and it makes me feel so surreal and magical. It really broke my heart whenever he was talking about his struggles with accepting himself, accepting his body, especially went through puberty and all the changes and all the things that he wanted to do to prevent the growing of his body. I just feel like it's so personal, and yeah, I just want to say that so far I'm enjoying this book. But I also made some progress with my first time with Drowned, because I feel like this book is the one that if I don't schedule myself in, I will probably not like reading it because it's such a heavy topic. It's talking about the refugee crisis in Libya, which has happened to be a country that I've read for the Invisible Countries project. And I finished chapter 1, which is my quota of the day. Just the author talking about how she got involved in all of these and how she received so many messages from the refugees themselves and telling their story. I just feel like the author is so brave, and also the people who's went through all the things. It's a paragraph talking about how the refugee system was established like 70 years ago to supposedly help the refugees, but in the end they just cause problem because they're not able to register every refugee, so many people are their names are not listed, they are not found like documentally. So I'm looking forward to read more from this. And I also, because I realized both of the books that I'm currently reading are so heavy, and so I also grabbed the audiobook of the guest list from Libby. I also borrowed this from the library as a physical format last week, but I just feel like if I had time to sit down and read something, I don't want to read a thriller, so I'll just listen to it when I'm on the go. So that's the update for today. It's a little bit too long. I have so much that I wanted to say, but I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and talk to you guys later. Having some spicy rice noodles called 螺蛳粉 for lunch, and I was listening to the guest book when I was putting the noodles together, and I was already rolling my eyes. I'm so happy that I wasn't reading it as a physical book. Let's just say that whenever people say that I'm not normally a person who like does this, blah blah blah, it's all excuses. They're exactly the type of person that they don't think they normally are, and things are happening. And because it's an audiobook, so the narrator, whenever she reads from a male's voice, she speaks so slow, and it was just so pretentious. I can't, it was so funny. Okay, who is hiding? Where? Hi friends, it's Thursday evening, and I just want to update you guys something because I'm reading Page Boy and I have thoughts. But before that, I just want to wrap up today. Today's another one of those days where I just, not necessarily bad things happened, but I was just not in a good mood. That's pretty depressed for no reason. That's just how it works, and the things that I need to deal with like on daily basis. So yeah, and speaking of things happened today, I actually picked up my car from the body shop today because if you remember in some of my previous vlogs, I mentioned that I ran into a minor accident, so my car was in the body shop to repair, and they finally got it repaired, and then I was able to drive for quite some time, and I actually listened to about 30% of the guest list on the way, which is pretty entertaining, and I feel like the book is decent so far, and the thrilling thing just happened. Like one person was like covered with blood, and I don't know what happened. And there's so many characters to follow, and some of the characters did ridiculous things. It was just how the feeling of like contemporary thriller is like how you sense like they shouldn't do something but they just does the exact thing with like 10 times of the dramatic effect. Anyhow, so that was actually entertaining. So one of the delightful things happened today. I was reading Page Boy, and now we're get to a point where I did Page talked about when he came out as gay in the one of the UN meetings in Vegas, and I feel so sad because he disclosed something that happened to him after he came out, including some discrimination against gay people, not to mention trans. He didn't come out as trans at that time just yet, but I just feel so sad, and I want to read you part of his speech that he included in this book. Beyond putting yourself in one box or another, you worry about the future, about college or work or even your physical safety, trying to create the mental picture of yourself, of your life, of what on earth is going to happen to you, can crush you a little bit every day. It is toxic and painful and deeply unfair. If we took just 5 minutes to recognize each other's beauty instead of attacking each other for our differences, that's not hard. It's really an easier and better way to live, and ultimately, it saves lives. Then again, it's not easy at all. It can be the hardest thing because loving other people starts with loving ourselves and accepting ourselves. Hi friends, it's Friday evening and it's time for another book update, and I wanted to tell you at first that I am in a much better mood today compared to yesterday, so I'm really happy about it. I think yesterday was just one of those days, and today I am at page 222 for Page Boy, so I have like about 30 pages or more than 30 pages to go in this book, and so far I still really like this book. But one thing that I kept thinking about is Elliot Page was talking about some relationship that he had with some other actress, and he name dropped a few of those actors. I feel like I don't know if they communicated at all during the progress of his writing, but I just hope he got the consent of those actors because I don't want anyone to be outed during the progress, like when they're not prepared. But yeah, I just don't know the logistic things behind it. So that was one of my concern, like my only concern about this book. But the other part I really loved, especially when he's talking about his relationship with his family, especially his dad, and how illuminating it is when he realized that he's trans, because a lot of things are explained at that moment, or like at those during the progress. I feel like that's actually one of the benefits of identifying who you are, as to explain the thing or explain some phenomenon that you have experienced that you don't really know what it is and you are confused. Like the first step is to clarify, and I'm really glad that he's sharing that. And yeah, so far so good, and I'm looking forward to finish this book, and tomorrow we're going to the book tour of his, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I also listened to a couple of not a couple of pages, like I also listened to some the guest list, and that book is entertaining. It's like a bunch of awful people get together and having this wedding for their friends, but each of them are hidden something, and they are just so dramatic. And so far I think I'm about 40% into this book. I still don't know what this thriller is around. The book is set in an isolated island, like of course, so they cannot easily contact the outside world that easily. But yeah, so it's just like a bunch of awful people, and really funny story so far. I wasn't scared at all. I just want to find out what is going on, like what is the main event that I actually make it a thriller. Yeah, that is my thoughts so far, and I haven't read my first time with Drowned today nor yesterday. I feel like it was one of those books where I have to sit down and prepare myself to read, so I don't have that time yet. Just want to update you on my reading progress so far, and see you tomorrow. Hi guys, it's Saturday morning, and as you can tell, I have an acne here that makes me look super mad, but I'm not mad at all. I'm quite excited today because I finished Page Boy this morning, and I'm going to see the book tour of Elliot Page this evening, so I'm really pumped about it. And this book, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really happy to see that in the acknowledgement part, he actually credited some of the people that he mentioned in this book and thanks them for their help in writing this book. So I think that means he got the consent of writing them in the book. As I said before, that was my biggest concern in this book, and I feel a little bit at ease now. And I really liked this book, and I feel like it's so personal, although it may not be, it may not be like the best writing of a memoir, but I really think it's a great book. I admire how brave, how honest he is to himself. Like sometimes he reflects on his own issues, and sometimes he mentions some of his past relationships with the people around him, or like the people who has been in relationship with him, and he was able to acknowledge his fault, and he was able to reflect on his own behavior. You can tell he's really trying to figure out himself, and he's really working hard on that, and he's able to I can see the growth throughout this book, because I recall that when I read another celebrity memoir, and the whole book I was like, oh, this dude didn't learn a thing from his past behavior, but it's so different reading this book. So I really enjoyed it, and I feel like it's very important. And I also liked Elliot Page's social commentary throughout the whole book, and I liked how he was still doing the activism thing in his book, call for healthcare for not only gender affirmative care, but also like a lot of other things. So yeah, I'm really happy that I finished this one, and I think actually the book tour ticket give you another copy of the book. So me and my partner, we go together, so we'll have ended up have 3 books, but I'm still gonna take this book and to see if I can get it signed. And today, besides the book tour in the evening, we also decided to go to the Young Museum. This week they have a special flower exhibition. It only lasted for a week, so it will end tomorrow, so I really want to catch that, and I'll try to snap in some footage for you guys, and hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend, and talk to you guys later. Hi friends, it's Sunday morning, and I just want to say hi and close off this vlog. Yesterday was a blast. First of all, we went to the Young Museum, and we saw so many amazing the Boutique to Arts exhibit, and at first I wasn't really sure some of the arrangement, what are they trying to tell, but then I realized that the flower arrangement are actually matching the arts beside them, and some of them just enhance the art, the paintings or the sculptures, and that was amazing. And I hope you like the clips that I took, and there were so many people. And in the Golden Gate part, we noticed that somebody has been putting googly eyes on the sculptures and also the posters, and I think it was inspired by the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that was quite funny, and I'm not sure if it is allowed, but it is what's happening. And yeah, that was fun. And in the evening we went to the book tour of Elliot Page, and that event was amazing. The host is Jess Tom, which is also a local I think a comedian, a trans masculine, and at one point they invited some guests to the stage, and the guest was talking about their organizations and how their experiences. And at one point the guest asked people who identify as trans masculine to stand up, and there were so many people standing up, and it was a moment that will carved in my brain forever. And it just reminded me, because when we're waiting in line to get into the theater, theater, I overheard people like around me saying that because they see so many queer faces in line and they feel so safe. I think that's particularly true, especially in today's political climate, and it is also a topic that Elliot and Jazz talked about yesterday, and how a couple of years ago when the environment is a little bit more open compared to now, a lot of trans people felt safe and they came out, they started to accept themselves, but then after recent years, like gradually the political climate became more and more conservative, and especially some activities that specifically targeting trans people, and that was actually really tragic, and it's something that I've been thinking a lot too. Anyhow, so the event was a blast. I'm so happy that I get to see Elliot talk, and also I feel like Jess Tom is also a wonderful comedian and a wonderful host. Besides that, I don't have a lot more to report in regard of reading because I've already finished Page Boy before I went, and I did get 2 other signed copies of this book. I think I'm gonna give away one of this to one of my in real life friends, and just keep the one that I read and also a signed copy to myself. And also, I picked up 2 books in a local bookstore near the park. The first one is No Longer Human. This is by Osamu Dazai, and I also got The Wall by Marlon. How? I'm not gonna say that. I'm an auditory learner, so I'll just put the name here. I have to listen to a word before I can say them, so it's a little bit hard to me to pronounce names sometimes. So the wall is talking about a woman one day stuck in the wall with a cow. Yeah, it's a bizarre blurb, and I've heard good things about it, so I'm really happy that I got these 2 books as well. And that is the conclusion of this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you had a wonderful week. And please let me know any of your thoughts down below, or just say hi, and I wish you happy reading. Stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!